Want to attend the legendary Thrivetime Show Business Workshop for free? Subscribe on iTunes, leave an objective review, and send us confirmation at info@thrivetimeshow.com to claim your tickets. Want to live in a van down by the river? Come by and see us at our Riverwalk offices, and we'll be able to make your dreams come true.
All right, Thrive Nation, welcome back to The Conversation. It's the Thrivetime Show on your podcast download. And today we're talking about Time Management 101, freeing up time to work on what matters. We have so many clients, Eric Chupp, business coach, so many clients we've worked with, and they struggle. Many of them struggle until they don't.
Right.
Once we can kind of show them how to do it, then they're home free. They struggle with freeing up time to work on what matters. So I'm going to read off the rules, and I'd like to get your take on it, Dr. Zellner's take on it, and Ryan with Tip Top Canine's take on it. Because as he's growing Tip Top Canine, he's gone from a startup a decade ago to having multiple locations. And again, you're always trying to optimize your time. You want to observe Pareto's principle. You want to spend 80% of your time focused on the 20% of the things that are going to move the needle the most. So here are the rules.
Real quick, I want to say something to the listeners out there.
Yes.
If this is you, this is so normal. So don't feel bad about this, right? You just need to figure out a way to fix it. But I would say almost every business that we work with, as we help them rush to revenue, that's our first goal with every client, right? Is we want to help them build up their revenue.
Right.
And that's the first thing that happens is now all of a sudden you have no time. You know, you maybe didn't have any clients at first and you're like, ooh, I got some time. But now you've got all these leads, all these clients coming in, and so you're not alone. Just listen to this entire show and we're going to help you fix it.
So here are the 5 moves that you must do on a daily basis to free up time to work on what matters. 1, you have to select a specific time and place to proactively plan out your day. Lee Cockrell from Disney World fame, he used to manage 40,000 employees. He will explain to you on the Thrivetime Show podcasts and on the thrivetimeshow.com videos that you have to have a specific time and a specific place to work on your life every morning. The second step is when you sit down to actually work on your stuff, on your life, what do you do? I mean, what are you doing? Are you writing haikus? Are you writing on a whiteboard? He says this. You got to basically sit down and contrast where you are versus where you want to be in these 6 areas. Your faith, your family, your finances, your fitness, your friendship, and your fun. You have to ask yourself, where do I want to be in my faith, my family, my finances, my fitness, my friendship, my fun? Frick, I'm not having any fun. And Dr. Zeal explained to you what that looks like. The third move, you got to break down your goals into SMART goals, bite-sized SMART goals. These are specific, measurable, actionable, realistic, and time-sensitive. And the fourth move, you got to have one to-do list for your one life, baby. One to-do list. And the final move, you have to have one calendar for your one life. So see, let's go one by one. Setting up a specific time and place to proactively plan out your day. Where do you do this, and why does everyone need to do this?
Back in the day, I would do this in the evenings. I was a night owl, and for me, it was much easier to stay up. And
Mine was better.
My kids would be asleep. The day. What the heck was that?
There was an owl being bit by Chupp.
Oh, my gosh. Wow.
Okay.
That's impressive.
Sorry.
Barn owl, I believe. And so for me, I would do it in the evenings. I would do my long-range planning. I would do my map out the day the next day. I would think about the problems that I had, problems I need to fix. I would put all these things down on my to-do list.
Throughout your day, when you saw problems, you wrote it down on Post-it notes.
I was a big fan of Post-it notes.
That's what you do. You'd see a problem.
Some of these young kids, Chuck, you probably don't even know what a Post-it note is.
I love Post-it notes.
Oh, do you really?
I'm with you on that one, yeah.
Okay. Because it's actually paper.
Pup is
it's not digital.
Oh, no, I thought you were talking about the app.
Chupp is a supporter of 3 things, and he's passionate about Z.
Yeah.
Minivans.
Yeah.
With the wood trim.
Oh, yeah. Who's not?
90s.
I mean, really,
Nice.
that's
Throwbacks.
Phones that plug into a wall.
In a bag.
And Post-it notes.
Yep.
Yes.
And he loves Patrick Swayze.
Who doesn't?
Back to you, Z.
Hey, Patrick, does he know Patrick's no longer with us?
Yeah, but he loves watching the old videos. I mean, he just finished watching Dirty Dancing right before we started.
Again.
Yeah.
Ghost is probably my favorite Patrick Swayze movie.
Chubb, let's make some pottery after this.
Okay.
So now I've kind of flipped it around to where now I'm doing it in the mornings because I don't have to be, a lot of mornings I don't have to be somewhere specifically at a time in the morning. And so I'll get up and then I'll do it in the mornings. You know, my quiet time, my plan time, my meta time.
I'm going to ask this on behalf of the
listen.
The listener would say, somebody out there, not our listeners, but other listeners would say, but I don't have time to block out time to plan out my day. And you would say, man cave session.
You have to make it.
I don't have time though.
You have to make it. Well, I'll tell you what. Let's do this then. Why don't you right now get out a piece of paper if you're listening to this podcast? Get out a piece of paper. Got out like a big chief tablet.
Nice.
And a number 2 pencil or a pen, whatever you like to do. And I want you to write down as specifically as you can. I'd like to see them in 15-minute increments, but we maybe start with 30. What did you do yesterday? What did you do yesterday? And I want to know all of it.
And let's think deep on it.
I want to know how much of the Olympics you were watching last night, because we are in the Olympic season right now.
I found myself cheering for North Korea.
I want to know if you did any Netflix, if you were on social media. I want to know exactly what you did. Break it down. You got up at what time? You went to bed at what time? Let's start there. Okay, now, so we'll assume bookend on those. You were asleep. So you got up at what time? Mm-hmm. And then what'd you do? Mm-hmm. And then. And then once you get that, you tell me now you can't squeeze the 30 minutes.
And that
1
works every single time. Every time I've done that with an entrepreneur, they say, if they're honest,
well, that's what I was about to say. That's what
watch a lot of the Olympics, but curling is a passion.
The only time it doesn't work is whenever they're not. You're not honest with yourself, right?
How could I go without watching ice dancing? I mean, it's but so, and here again. So then, what you do is you say, well, that was your priorities of the day. Now, what do you want to be your priorities of the day? What did you want to get done? What do you need to get done? What's the number one thing on your to-do list? I don't have a to-do.
So now I know, Ryan, you've become more and more purposeful as you've grown Tip Top Canine with managing your time.
Yep.
So if you could talk to yourself 8 years ago, 7 years ago, before you became better at time management, are you perfect? No. Are you getting better? Yes. But I mean, if you could talk to yourself back in the day when it was that crazy chaos where you just sell and you're just blowing and going 90 miles an hour,
right.
What does that feel like when you're in that mindset of just not planning your day proactively?
It's just like the fireman, like always putting out fires mindset.
And I think, people get used to that. That becomes their habit. They're normal.
Yeah.
They're normal.
Yeah.
And so we're helping you get out of that normal, so it's going to feel different. And by the way, most Americans, according to, again, this is research you can find on CNN Money. You can find this if you type in the United States, America, Federal Reserve. The average American has less than $500 saved. You will find this. Most Americans are overworked, underpaid, undervalued, totally not knowing where they're going, and that's why everybody will say justifications like, I understand you didn't have time to plan out your schedule. But I'm telling you, you do have time to do this, and if you don't, you will get poverty, which is what you deserve after you encounter this information and you choose not to do it. You will be poor, and it will be your fault, and I hate to say it, but it will be. There's no other way around it. If you encountered this information today, and you've heard Dr. Z explain this and myself, and you choose not to do it, then you need to hit your head with a dumb stick every single day until eventually, or the poverty will wake you up. Chop.
Well, here's what I've seen more than one time. There's some people out there who really do. They can get things done. They can figure out problems, so they think, that's all right. It's too crazy. I'm not going to pre-plan. I'm not going to have meta time. I'm just going to get it all done. And what really made me think of this was, Ryan, you just said you're the fireman if you don't plan out your day. You cannot think strategically about your business when you're engulfed in flames. It's impossible.
Right.
There's too many things going on. So you're not that good. You're good, but you're not that good.
Which is why we write these outlines before the show happens.
We're just winging this, Clay. We're just winging it, man.
So this is the thing. You got to contrast, Z, where you are versus where you want to be. So you look at this for the first time and you go, I wrote down my faith, my family, my finances, my fitness, my friendship, and my fun. So I'm just going to pick on 2 of the F's. You might say, you know what? I did not enjoy a certain aspect of my credit card statement this month. I feel like I might have spent too much in this area. I feel like I spent too much on the card. Or you might say, I don't enjoy the company of that person. That man or that woman makes me crazy. And every time I see that man or woman, I don't like them. And it turns out we're related. So what you could say, if you're a proactive person, is you could be a powerful person. You could call up the person you're related to, and you could say, hey, what we're going to do is we're going to get together once a week at this time. I think it's you could do that. And now you don't have to see them every single day and ruin every single day, because if you're surrounded by people you don't like, no matter how much money you have, you won't enjoy it. Or you might say your finances, gosh, this is an expense I'm tired of paying. And so you call up the said company or call up the service or call up the employer, whatever the expense is, and you terminate the expenses. See, this is how this works.
I can tackle a couple others. I mean, it's like in your faith. You may say to yourself, I feel like I'm not where I need to be in my faith, and so I'm going to take 30 minutes of television watching away. I'm not going to binge watch Netflix every night, and I'm going to take that 30 minutes, and I'm going to put it into a quiet study time. Here's the proactive. I found the study guide that I'm going to use for my faith and for what I want to do and how I want to grow. And I'm going to schedule every day 30 minutes of that into my day. So, or you may say, hey, what I'm doing is great for my faith and rock on and things are good. And
the mind is what the mind is fed. And whatever you feed your mind, if you're a Christian, Judeo-Christian person, as many of our listeners are, that's great. That's what I am, but you don't have to be that. But if you are, you'll notice that over time, if you listen to a T.D. Jakes message every single day for 365 days a year, pretty soon you'll start saying such things as subconsciously. You'll say, strength is gained through struggle. And you'll go, where did I get that? I think I got that from a T.D. Jakes episode. Or you'll start to find yourself quoting little Bible verses along the way. You'll start to, it just through osmosis, through watching, through. So you've got to be intentional about what you put in your head because garbage in, garbage out. Chup, you were going to add something there.
Nope.
And
then another F I'll tackle is fitness. How many people, it come January 1, say to themselves, hey, man, you know what?
Wanna feel my
I'm
body.
going to get in shape this year.
Body, wanna feel my body.
Going to lose some weight.
Gonna lose some weight.
I'm going to get those abs back to where I can
Gonna
see
go
them
on a
again.
date.
Instead of, I'm going to get a 6-pack instead of a keg.
Oh my! I'll treat my body like a temple and not a bowling alley. You know what I mean?
And I promise you, a lot of those get dropped about middle of February, maybe the end of January.
Because it's Valentine's. It's the Diet Buster.
Well,
Middle of January.
It could be the case, but they get dropped because they're not being proactive and putting it in their schedule. They don't get a plan. They're just like, okay, I'm just going to start working out. What does that mean?
What does it mean?
What does that mean?
Come on, baby.
That's like saying I'm going to start a business. What does that mean? Yeah, so you got to be very specific.
I'm going to do that thigh machine where you just go to the gym. It's the one where you push out with your legs. It's like the gynecological exam.
Woo.
Yeah,
And you just keep pushing your thighs out.
You have just the best legs ever. Your arms look like little toothpicks, but you have these incredible thighs.
And you don't want to exude too much force when you're doing that because if you make that face while doing that, it becomes obscene.
Well, didn't they call you the Thigh Master in high school, Clay? Wasn't that you?
Yeah, actually, Chapo, you used to call me that.
I still do.
Get out of here. This is the podcast version, Chip. This is not actually real life. This is still the podcast.
Sorry, I forgot.
But you sit down, but you have the time now where you can actually give some rational thought to these areas of your life that you should be taking control of.
Take control.
Take control. And the only way you take control of is to actually take it.
Now, once you've thought about these things, you have to set SMART goals. And I want to get your take on this. See, the S, the M, the A, the R, the T. Specific. You got to set specific goals. They have to be measurable. They've got to be actionable. They've got to be realistic. And they've got to be time sensitive. I see so many entrepreneurs saying, this Tuesday, I'm going to write a book. This Thursday, I'm going to make my website. No, you're not. What you could say is this Tuesday, I'm going to write the content for my homepage. That's specific, measurable. Is it done or not? Actionable. When am I doing it? Is it realistic? Can I get that much done? And is it time sensitive? Yes, I commit. I'm going to do it by Tuesday. And if you say you're going to do something and you make a promise to yourself and you do it yourself, then you get self-confidence as a result of keeping a promise to yourself. Now, if you break a promise to yourself, you get cognitive dissonance, a.k.a. a feeling of like you lied to your mother. So therefore, your conscience is violated. And the only way you can deal with a conscience and not eventually become a better person if you have a conscience is to desensitize it by continuing to break promises to yourself until you live in a van down by the river, which is a good thing because we could be neighbors. We opposite the Riverwalk.
Well, we have a lot of our property just right there. I mean, we could probably line up, I'm thinking 30 vans.
If you break enough promises to yourself, eventually you will no longer have pride. And then what you'll do is you'll see a line for the drinking fountain at a public stadium and you'll say, you know what? I mean, the water in the urinal's wet. I'll just drink from that.
There you go.
Because you have no pride.
No pride.
Gross.
No, I mean, see, this is what happens. So if you lie to yourself consistently enough and you don't honor what you said you're going to do, you said, I'm going to call this lead Tuesday at 2. And if you don't do it enough, eventually, do you not lose pride and self-esteem?
Yes, you do.
And then you end up drinking from urinals.
And then you end up living
It's science.
in a van down by the river. But this is so important. I think part of the problem that I see so much is that people get this far and then they don't make realistic goals. They're hey, I'm
quarter 2, I'm going to
lose 100 pounds this month, and I'm going to be down to 4% body fat.
And you see people like sprinting who are massive. You'll see a massive sprinter.
Massive Sprinter.
No, I'm not.
That's a good band name.
Listen, I've shared this before in a previous podcast, but I had a company called DJ Connection back in the day. And we had one guy in our office who was just like he would like order cake for the office to celebrate a sales goal, and he would just kill that cake. And then before he killed the cake, he would kill those drugs because that's how he had those previous life situations. And then before that, he would just anything. He was just crazy compulsive. And one day he says, I tell you this, guys, I will lose 100 pounds in the next 45 days or something. And we're going, there's no way, dude. So he starts taking this pill.
Physically possible?
He takes
surgery or something?
He takes this pill called the Snake.
Oh my God! Is this where the snake came
Yes,
from?
this is where it came from. Jonathan Kelly knows about it. But the Snake was a supplement that was supposed to help you burn fat. And if you took a pill, you felt like your body was on fire because it's like your skin's like burning.
Oh my God.
And he's like 22, 23. And he takes a snake pill. And he's like, I'm going to do it. So he starts running. We were I-44 in Skelly in the corporate building. And we're all looking out the window because this is like after work. And he's got his hoodie on. He's got his shorts on. And he's just sprinting. And he doesn't know we're watching. He sprints for maybe half a block. And then he's just done. And he comes back up and he's like, that's it. I can't do it.
Does this have anything to do with the cheeseburger story I heard about? I think I saw a video of somebody getting cheeseburgers thrown at him one time.
I don't know about that. All I can say is you got to set realistic goals. If you want to run a marathon, you start by just running maybe a block. The next day, maybe a block and a half, and you just keep adding. So I want to get your take on this, Ryan, because you are a man who suffers from what I would call entrepreneurship.
Yep.
Which is where you're motivated. And everything is urgent, which is a good thing. And I have over time had to learn, Z, to put that buffer on urgent and realize I got to buffer urgent with realistic. And so you've got to get things done, but you got to realize things take time. How have you learned as you've grown Tip Top Canine to set goals that are realistic? And how has that been maybe hard for you? Or walk me through your mindset as you've gone from where everything's urgent to it's still urgent, it's still a priority, but you're not going to lose your mind if the website isn't topping Google by Tuesday or whatever the thing
That's
is.
still hard for me not to lose my mind.
This is good. Share this with the Thrivers out there because this is good.
Because I still, I see different money-making opportunities, and I just want to grab like every single one. I want to do them right now. Right, which I think a lot of people are like that.
And I think what happens is that's a good trait. That means you'll probably be an entrepreneur if that's your mindset. But Z, if you don't put some kind of governor on that, you're going to eventually make everyone around you crazy, right? When everything is instant urgent.
Yeah, and you can't have that. That's not realistic. That's not, everything can be time sensitive. It needs to be done today. I mean, you've got to have your to-do list. You've got to have your checklist. You've got to have the things that you say, this is really, really important and has to be done. No questions about it.
But the F5 and the morning meta time, that actually really helped me. But what I also found is I couldn't even plan for my team if I wasn't planning for myself. Right? Like I found that was like really big.
Right.
And I want you to know this. The F5 thing was huge for me. And then Z introduced a 6 in this man cave is the 6 for me. The fun. The fun. You got to schedule time for fun because if not,
you have to do
eventually either your brain will explode or the people you're married to, their brain will explode.
All work and no play.
Makes Clay's wife pissed.
Yes, exactly.
It's a podcast version.
Again,
Put that on a shirt.
Yeah.
So now the final 2 moves I want to recap here. Got to have one to-do list. You have to have one to-do list. And the final move, you have to have one calendar. Z, I see so many people running around with an app that reminds them of what to do, mixed with a Google alert on their phone, mixed with a yellow notepad. Nothing's getting done. They have multiple calendars. Z, stop the jackassery. Help us.
It's horrible. I tell you what, I don't know how many times back when I was a young man, I would show up to a restaurant and there'd be like 3 different reps from 3 different companies there meeting me for lunch. Be like, oh, looks like it's
It's a group interview.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, everybody gets 20 minutes of my undivided attention. You go first, But yeah, you have to get it down to one calendar. And if you don't have a to-do list, how do you know what you need to do?
I try to remember. I try to use most of my mind to remember. In that way, I don't have any of my mind available to think.
But I forgot. But you have to have that. If I asked an entrepreneur, what's the number one thing you need to get done today? You need to know that. What's the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. That to-do list is so important, Clay, because that tells you what your energy should be spent on. You've thought about it and you've got a plan and your long-range view says this and then you go in there and get it done.
Chop.
You know what I can tell you, Clay, is that probably the one thing that's changed my personal life the most since I started working with you is completely buying into having a clipboard with my to-do list on it. I have it in my hand right now.
Oh, it's a game changer.
And I've got my entire to-do list where I've got my handwritten notes of stuff that I definitely would have forgot today. Definitely would have forgot all of these notes, if not. And right behind it, I have a printout of my day. so that I know exactly what I have to do today
Well-
every hour on the hour. So I'm not thinking about what's my next meeting, where do I have to be? It's right here on my clipboard, and if I don't have that clipboard, I kind of freak out. I gotta find it.
Well, I this morning was working on some more lyrical miracles, and my SM58 microphone's beautiful, but the XLR cord was cutting out. So I wrote down buy XLR to XLR cord. I also wrote down buy 16 by 20 frame at Hobby Lobby because our last conference, somebody was in that bathroom. There's so many guys in there. See, you would have loved the line. We almost need to switch to a P trough now.
Oh, yeah.
Like at a public stadium. And one guy bumped into your Tulsa World print. It falls down, and it's the broken window theory. You got to fix stuff immediately when things break. And so I have it on my list to go buy that frame. But these are things that, like, I would not remember. I'm not going to remember. I'm not a Superman. You're not a Superwoman. No one listening to this has the mental capacity to remember everything.
Nor should you try to.
Yes.
Like, it's crazy.
Now, on our next podcast, we're going to be talking about Efficiency 101, focusing on revenue producing activity, because without sales, you will fail. And without any further ado, we'd like to end this show with a 3 and a 2 and a 1 and then a boom. And so here we go. 3, 2, 1, boom.